Political parties in Nigeria after the 2023 elections, which produced the current president, Bola Tinubu, has been upbeat in their quest to deliver the dividends of democracy to the people of Nigeria and fulfill other campaign promises. But other political parties who believe that the process that produced the current president was not transparent have been gearing up to wrestle power from the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC. Although the controversy surrounding the major opposition party, People's Democratic Party, PDP, and others shows that there is fire in the mountain, but no one seems to be running. 2027 political build-up in Nigeria, the perspective is our focus on this subject, on this second discussion segment. And our guest is the Deputy Chairman of People's Democratic Party. I guess that's National Deputy Chairman and for Enugu State, and former Secretary PDP Enugu State, Barrister Steve Oruruo. You are welcome to Politicals.
Thank you very much. A very good evening to you.
Good evening, sir. From your own perspective, what are the major factors influencing the realignment of political force ahead? I mean, in Nigeria's 2027 general elections, to be precise.
Well, desperate ambition on the side of political gladiators to grab power. That is the main focus. Secondly, innocent attempt to repositioning the fortunes of this country. We live in a country where extremities of wealth live side by side with extremities of poverty, meaning that Nigerian people, the populace, the electorate, the citizens, the innocent souls in this country have watched in anguish as we have almost cremated democracy, almost eviscerated the gains of democracy. And unfortunately, as it stands today, only people that are nationalists, patriots, those who are born leaders that want to retrieve the country, from the abyss of destruction, that actually want to have a party of their own where they can run and get results. So it's a divergent struggle. Some people are actually desperately looking to grab power for their own sake. Some are also looking for power to do good for the greater, people of Nigeria.
Let's look at the polity right now. 2027 is not so much around, but for politicians, it looks like some are already strategizing and re-strategizing. There are rumors of, not rumors now, there are speculations. People are getting set to merge or form a coalition. I don't know if this coalition is going to be tantamount to what we experienced in 2013, to the build-up of 2015 election that brought to power the APC. Atiku Abubakar is of PDP. Peter Obi was of PDP. In fact, it's looking like the crack in PDP, let's say the way it is also going to pull quite a number of persons from your party to join the coalition. But the governors, 12 of them, who are of the PDP, have said that they are not in for coalition. A lot of persons have given it their own interpretation. But what does it mean for the party if the governors are saying that they are not in for coalition? And it's looking like the major opposition party is not strong enough, given the cracks in the house, to challenge the ruling APC.
Yes, without prejudice to the fact that, the parties are having internal crises. And those crises are overtly, surreptitiously, and sometimes tacitly, motivated by the ruling party to ensure that the party stays in tatters. If you talk about PDP, manifestly you could see that, you could see the hand of Esau with the voice of Jacob. You could see that some renegades are using their positions to become bad influencers to, the business of PDP. Having said this, if you look at the Labour Party, they have been, almost bastardized by torrents of litigations and recriminations and accusations and counter-accusations from left, right, and center. When the masses also see clearly that the leadership of Labour Party, gravitates around the presidential candidate of the election in the last general election, so of the party in the last general election. Having said that, any attempt at distorting that status quo is a sign that some people want to devalue, the presence of Labour Party. And if you go to even AMPP, for instance, you will notice that just like in Kano State, you could see some people challenging the ownership of the very ownership of that party and the leadership of that party. And it goes to show that some people also continue with their fireworks from distant places to ensure that no party, gets fit for the general election. And I want to challenge you that anytime you find this contrast, big as we are, over 200 million Nigerians, having only one party, tilting towards one party system, is very dangerous to the health of the country. And what it means that if you can't secure plurality of opinion or voices within the rank and file of party politicking, the danger is that we are snowballing into, dictatorship of some sort. And let's go back to it now. If you also look at what happened in 2014, it appears to be slightly an aberration. When you talk about parties are known for ideological differences, ideological standards. So that if you say that you are part of this party, you know the reasons why you're part of that party. If you go to, Senate claims, that's what you're going to find. If you're going to support this party, these are the ethics, these are the values, these are the reasons why I should be in this party. And when they begin to derail from that standard practices, you have no choice than to pitch tent with another side. But in this country, there seems to be equalization in terms of what the parties are doing, in terms of the values of the parties. So it borders more on individual credibility. So most of the parties will rather anchor on the values of the individual candidate and how much he can influence the support of the masses, given his antecedents and the values he can put on the table, either financial strength or credibility, content. The Nigerian people, they have suffered for so long. I think they are sick and tired of just getting peanuts from politicians. They want to have value for their votes. That is looking for qualitative candidates that introduce policies that will protect the future of their children. So having said this, if you go to 2014, like you alluded in your question, you find out that 2014, like why I called it an aberration, was that it was, an isolated case of what I would rather call a Pyrrhic victory, in the sense that what ultimate goal did Nigerians gain from it? In a situation where a certain president probably violated the agreement within the party, and some northern governors decided to leave the party. And some people from ACN also joined up, while some other persons from even AMCA joined up. Some other parties, even AMPP, I remember, when you had the likes of Obonaya, the late Obonaya, they all went together.
There were persons also from new PDP.
That's what I'm saying. When I say 4 governors left the convention ground,
okay,
it will tell you that I'm talking about the PDP. They were the main gladiators in that conspiracy. And at the end of the day, it begot a party that deceived Nigerians. I can strategically say that APC deceived Nigerians. We had the horrible 8 years under President Buhari. And today, look at where we are. Instead of even trying to create what would ameliorate the suffering of Nigerians or mitigate the pains of Nigerian people, is getting aggravated. So what did we get out of that conspiracy that we're looking for another conspiracy? So when PDP functions as PDP, you had that solitary authority as a name. What happened in it is that the cost of garri in the market was cheap. The cost of rice in the market, of course, became even cheaper, with about 8,000 naira. Be that as it may, if you also consider the fact that the cost of petrol was as low as 160, naira. And what was the exchange rate?
It was lesser.
Farmers could also go to the farm in Benue State, in Middle Belt, and other regions of the country. People were producing, food in torrents. And we could say that Benue was the basket,
Food basket
of the country. Today, non-state actors, bandits, criminals would not allow anybody to produce anything in Benue. Same with Nasarawa, Jos, all the major places where you could get a lot of food items from the north. Somehow there's a blockade by terrorists.
So with all these points you have made, what challenges are opposition parties really
facing? The point I'm making here is that life was by far better in terms of statistics, in terms of direct...
In the 16 years of PDP.
Yes, the 16 years of PDP. And we even have foreign reserves. We had an Okonjo-Iweala who had the ability to manage the world economy, not talk of the Nigerian economy. We had the likes of Akunwumi Adesina, and all professionals were involved in PDP. Obasanjo gave them that room to operate. Goodluck Jonathan told the same part. But today, this is where we have found ourselves with conspiracies of, merger and all whatnot, to choose to call it. So it's not about winning elections by all means. It's about what you do with the power you're looking for. Without a clue, without having an idea, without having intellectual property to use that power, and you grab the power and mess up the entire country.
Barrister Oruruo, are we also going to see, because you said the gladiators, the four very strong PDP governors at the time, you just mentioned them. So I'm seeing some PDP governors making statements. One is the governor of Akwa Ibom State, who said that he made a statement that suggests that he is for Tinubu to conclude with a second tenure. Do you think that we're going to have the same experience, PDP rather is going to have the same experience as in 2013?
Well, I will not pretend. I will not live in pretense, where it is very glaring that PDP had some internal challenges. But I would want to refer you to what happened before the emergence of President Tinubu as the president. Of course, PDP had wanted to stay together, present a candidate that was fit and proper to govern Nigerian people and reclaim power from probably a capitulating president in the hands of Buhari. But what happened? Internal crisis within PDP in terms of zoning formula became a problem. The zoning in this country was clear. Even if you lose power to another party, if it is in the hands of the north, it should go to the south. If it's in the hands of the south, it should go to the north. For equity, for fairness sake, there's no region of this country that cannot give you 100 quality persons that can be president of the country. Anybody who wants to argue anything to the contrary is also a product of intellectual deceit or elitist, confusion of some sort. Having said that, a certain Atiku Abubakar, for instance, with due respect to his ambitions as an entity, knew that it was the turn of the South, insisted power should go to the North, with an argument that only the North will have the number of votes with which you can grab power, actually, if you are looking for, power emasculation or space emasculation. And eventually, the Southerners involved also said no. And that begat the idea of G5 governors. So, which at the end of the day was the beginning of official anti-party, activity in the modern democracy. So, for these strong reasons, they have to defend their own regions by saying, no, power should come to the South. We must support anybody from the South so that injustice will not continue. For having said that, now we are beginning to see persons in certain elevated positions saying they are going to support the president of another party. It's unknown from my own party experience. It's unknown
in politics.
It's unknown in politics. If you're on the side of the party, you should be vigorously supporting that party. You should not be subject to waiver. You should be firm. You should lead by example. What do you expect the electorate to do? What do you expect ordinary party people to do? If a leader is saying that, I'm not going to support my party. It's a recipe for failure, as a matter of fact. So it's not a very good omen. But I want to tell you something that goes beyond party politics. If you look at what happened in the last election, Nigerian people watched calmly. Nobody knew what were their plans. But during the election, they showed their class. They showed their mettle. They decided whom to vote for. no matter how you want to rig it, no matter what you want to do, those you want to do, Nigerian people spoke, and you could see the strength of their character. They were firm in that election. Even if anybody eventually emerged winner, you could see where Nigerians tilted. They were sick and tired of misrule. They were sick and tired of misappropriation of the commonwealth of the people. They were sick and tired of looting of their treasury, their commonwealth. So they are looking for a candidate that will show frugality, that will show competency,
irrespective
that will show
of what party
integrity
is coming from,
and class, and the experience in terms of economic application of their mega resources. So the taxpayers' body must be judicially applied, judiciously applied, by whomever who commands that position. So if if you are not going to be a pragmatist on the saddle, if you're not going to show that you have something that you can use to rejig the order and create an enabling environment where people can be free to aspire in a very fair means. Nigerian people are hardworking people. They are capitalists. They are industrialists. Mm-hmm. They are hardworking people. They are egalitarian. They want a free space where they can operate. And our youths are not lazy as they claim. They are willing to work if you give them the platform to operate. But don't when you emasculate the system, create a kind of an environment where you weaponize poverty and begin to give people peanuts to control them forever. It is a situation where Nigeria must have to extricate itself from, must break away from that jinx and take some decisions. And I guess the electorate is watching. The populace, they are also clearly watching. And the people are also watching. During that election time, you could see them rise above the facets of party politicking and make their final choice. And it will be very telling.
Another PDP governor, Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde, said that 2027 election would be between APC and Nigerians. What's your interpretation of that statement?
Well, in Nigeria we say this is the ruling party. I always emphasize on leadership. I emphasize the idea of having rulers. I want to have leaders. But our scenario portrays an environment where there is emasculation of the political space and seizure of institutions, where we have, instead of having strong institutions, we have strong personalities, strong individuals. So whoever is the Nigerian president is the most powerful president in the world, as far as the 1999 Constitution is concerned. So what it then means is that you are controlling the institutions of coercion. Okay? If the president has a lot to do with the military, has a lot to do with the police, and could, at some point, allegedly control or influence what happens around the judicial system too, which is a different matter for discourse. But it's touted to be very powerful. What it now means is that for you to overturn the scorecard in this country, you have to go the extra mile. There must be total revolt by the people. It is not what political parties can do. It must be a total siege by the people, laid against the constituted authority, and they will change the government. It's done in the different countries. Nigeria cannot be an exception. So if political parties would want to challenge the APC, you really need to sit up. We need to get the Nigerian people involved. You cannot do it just like a political party. I think the Oyo governor was very correct.
Nasarawa State Governor Sule said, in preparation for 2027, he said that the North will back Tinubu again. If the North has the numbers, like you pointed out earlier, and I think that's the obvious fact, what will the rest of the opposition do to wrestle power from APC if the North eventually live up to the statement made by Nasarawa State Governor? Okay,
let me start by trying to deconstruct that claim that the North has the number. It's on paper that the North has the number. In terms of population census, we have not done the actual population census. We don't know the population of
We are
this
not
country.
certain about it.
We're not certain about it. I can say this authoritatively. From 1959, I question the population census of this country. Okay? I have no reasons why you should have 3 regions in the country. Suddenly, one region emerges with greater number of states, greater number of local governments, under the authority of the junta, manned by a person from that region. So it's very simple. If we had resorted to the regions as previously constituted when we had Nigeria, there was never a time that it would be very obvious that these people will bring number. And I've watched votes. I've seen voting where even children or underage children vote. I've seen the video clips. So that's not a situation we say they have the number. But on paper, they do have the number. Given the number of states, given the number of local governments, it is logically conclusive that they have the number. But we question that number. That's one.
Your point is that that's not going to be a challenge?
No, it's a challenge.
It is.
It's a big challenge already. Secondly, when we talk about the North, they do not speak with unanimity of purpose. The North is a bit decimated at the moment because of the level of banditry, because of the non-state actors and the killings going on within the North. We are beginning to see the Fulanis, the Hausas, the Christians, the Muslims, the Kanuris, different over 100 different tribes. So they now have different issues. And look at the Middle Belt, for instance, and look at the killings going on. Are they very comfortable being part of the North? Is a matter for another day. So today, if you look at the voting pattern of the last election, general election, you could see how much that even the Labour Party and the person of Peter Obi made way in terms of winning souls and winning, voters.
And most of those votes did not come from the North.
Majority
of that vote.
The important thing is that those of them, even if you are from a different region and you are living in the North, if you are voting there, that note is ascribable to the North. So he garnered a lot of votes from there. So what I'm trying to say here is that for different sentiments, for different reasons, Northerners will vote differently. So we're going to vote for APC, given that they are very comfortable either being part of the system, because that's Nigeria for you. When you are part of the system, most times you will defend the system. But those who are not very comfortable will agitate against it. And you say, it is even better. And I know that some of the Northerners are also claiming that this government, this particular federal government is one-sided in terms of sectionalism, in terms of nepotism, even xenophobic tendencies and all whatnot. So they begin to argue from that point of view. And some Northern Christians are also saying the Muslim ticket is not working. It's not actually working. They want to dismantle it. So people are going to vote for different reasons.
This time around.
Definitely.
Okay. There are squabbles, cracks in almost all the political parties in Nigeria. The main opposition party has its own squabbles. Your gladiators playing anti-party politics. We have the same leadership squabble in Labour as well as PDP, where the national secretaryship is still in contest. We have leadership issues also in Labour Party, which is also coming up sort of in terms of capacity as an opposition party. We have seen Erufai decamp from APC to SDP. We have seen Atiku of PDP making plans for a coalition. We don't know where Kwankwaso is really, it's not defined. So looking at all of this, do you think that the opposition have the wherewithal, the opposition parties, even if there is a merger, has the wherewithal to stand a chance in 2027? We're not even sure. We're not even certain PDP will provide a candidate, national flag bearer, with all of the things in there.
Well, as a journalist, you may not be sure. As a politician, I'm sure PDP will have a candidate. What I'm not sure of whom the candidate will be. Now, at this stage of politicking, the horse trading is going on. The scheming in politics is going on. And in terms of balancing, in terms of concessions, and eventually consensus will emerge. And you see sanity in the parties. Even in the Labour Party and other parties, you are going to see that the crisis will end.
Before
everything
2027?
yes, everything will gravitate into a candidate before the election. Nigerian people are very wise people. They're very smart people. They know what is happening. And at the fullness of time, they will pitch their tent with their choices. So they will have candidates. That election will be explosive. We'll have candidates for different parties. Having said this, even if you look at coalition, I have explained in this particular occasion that coalition does not mean strength by any means. The last time we tried coalition, we grabbed power and made nonsense of that power. So Nigerians are very careful about coalition. They're not so interested in coalition. And I want to ask you, why would a particular person want to be president all the time from the north? If it is a turn of the south, why not allow them to see of that opportunity? So the struggle should be between southerners, whether another person will come and do the next 4 years or be given 8 years, or you should allow the person in APC to continue and end, that, sharing formula that is going on. Having said that, the argument that if you go to the north, you are going to create the momentum, create the wave capable of eliminating a southern president, it does not stand to me. It's an alibi to deceit. It's an opportunity to deceive people. And at the end of the day, you may not actually win, just like we saw in the last election. And Atiku Abubakar had the ticket. He did not win. Whether that election was properly managed in terms of the leadership recruitment process, I have my worries about about the INEC and their practices, the lack of confidence that failed to restore to the Nigerian people. I have my worries. I have my worries about the security institutions and the operations during the elections, whether they are very careful about the sensibility and temperament of ordinary Nigerian people. Are they mindful about what Nigerians feel? Must they support those in authority? These are questions that should be answered, via their next conduct in the next election. Okay, the judicial system has come under trial as well by Nigerian people. I think everybody involved within the judicial system should be very worried at the moment. Nigerians are awake and are watching. So if the institutions are very open to fairness, if they are very open to rule of law, be sure that Nigerians and voters will get a good deal and a good business.
Okay, you just mentioned the 2023 elections and not having confidence in INEC. And it's no news that so many Nigerians were really disappointed concerning the 2023 presidential election results. So in this frame, what role is INEC expected to play in the 2027 election in regards to transparency and public trust?
Well, if the INEC can have the rule of the game defined, the rule of engagement defined from the beginning, and maintain the rules. If you are uploading results, insist that those results must be uploaded. Don't give excuses. Set your standards. Don't change in the middle of the match. Don't change the rule in the middle of the match. Don't accommodate excuses to bring about results that cannot be justified in the field. Okay? If they can make it open and very clear, as so winning, you are seeing your result anywhere. The actual result is being transmitted for Nigerians to see. Then I'll give them 100% over 100. But in a situation where sometimes it's predictable that a particular candidate for a particular party will win, it's very disturbing. It's very disturbing within the Nigerian context. I feel a bit worried. So INEC has a chance to write its own credentials. Anything we have failed to do before, we can do right now. So that's the golden opportunity that Nigerians have. But I also want to advise the parties, not only the People's Democratic Party, let the parties have credible candidates to help Nigerian people select whoever through their votes. It's going to be very cautious to stand under the sun or the rain to cast your vote. Give them the opportunity to have even if you are not getting the right person, let that right person, let that person be good enough for Nigerian people. Anybody who is sacrificial, anybody who has the suffering of our people, and anybody who feels that what is obtainable in the Western world could be well domiciled here, could be implemented here or replicated here, that person needs my support. Okay? We need candidates that can enter the saddle, join the fray, and redefine the concept of governance. And for instance, with due respect to the national discourse, what the governor of Enugu is doing in Enugu has managed to redeem the Nigerian politician in terms of value placement. The electorate had in the past viewed politicians as a bunch of criminals that are emasculating the space and looking at business of Nigerian governance as opportunistic criminality. But today, the governor, through his well-tailored, well-articulated, robust, and convincing engagement and interventions through projects, has succeeded in winning the Nigerian people, the Enugu people. So the Enugu story is resonates all over Nigeria, which is a constant reminder that amongst politicians could be individuals, though they have not gotten the chance. Give them the chance, they're going to utilize that opportunity and define politics, redeem their own selves, and make a name for the country as a whole.
Now, for the opposition parties, do you foresee any other challenge in the build-up to 2027 other than the internal party squabbles?
Well, one would expect more challenges to come. The final challenge will be who becomes a candidate for each party. It's going to be a tussle because what is good for the goose is probably good for the gander. And on that note, you begin to see power play, you begin to see the power of money in politics as well. You begin to see the question of, some persons sacrificing their conscience in search of pecuniary interest. You begin to see manipulative politics. You begin to see betrayals. You begin to see certain people rising up to the occasion and standing up for their names too, to say the right thing must be done. So both parties and officers of the party must rise up in this time to say that the general interest is bigger than my personal interest. Can we have a candidate capable of running an election and winning Nigerian people in terms of attention, in terms of support, in terms of love by the masses, in terms of empathy rising from electorate? These are the kind of candidates we need if the party is going to flourish, even from the House of Assembly to the House of Representatives to the Senate, not just for the governorship election, the presidential election. If you have qualitative candidates in these positions, they will gravitate into, massive support for the entire party. And that's how parties succeed in elections.
You're a legal practitioner. From that point of view, do you foresee more electoral reforms from the National Assembly before 2027?
Well, I think our major challenge is inability to implement laws and not the absence of laws. My worry now is I'm not looking for new amendments in the Constitution. I'm looking for the execution of that laws there. If it is tenaciously done without, pandering to sentiments, if we apply laws without recourse to religious bigotry, ethnic chauvinism, identity politics, if we can do things without considering, monetary values for our private coffers, if we do things for the sake of the nation and sake of our conscience, I believe this country will get it right.
All right, that's a nice place to wrap it up with Barrister Steve Oruruo, the Deputy Chairman PDP in Enugu State. Barrister Steve Oruruo, former Secretary PDP. We thank you very much for being with us on 2027 political build-up in Nigeria. We just obtained his own perspective. Join us shortly after the break for another segment of discussion, this time around as it concerns the civil servant.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.